I'm a former C-suite executive who spent over 20 years climbing the corporate ladder at companies like Walmart, IKEA, and Starbucks. I've also nearly lost myself in the process. My trauma response was not to fight or flight. It was to work or flight. I'm convinced that the world has an unhealthy relationship with work, success, and achievement. We've built this unhealthy relationship with success on a set of lies that we have all been told to believe in. That hard work alone guarantees results, that we must sacrifice our humanity for achievement, that productivity equals worth. But here's the thing, work should not have the deciding vote on who you are or whether or not you feel fulfillment. Hey everyone, I'm Nabeela Elsayed, and welcome to the very first episode of the Reimagined Success podcast. I'm recording this from my hotel room in Atlanta, not because I couldn't find a studio, but because this is exactly how I want this podcast to be. Real, unfiltered, wherever life takes us. Sometimes I'll be in a car between client meetings, sometimes in my kitchen at home, other times in studios and corporate offices. This isn't going to be your typical polished studio podcast. This is going to be a conversation that travels the world. And I have intentionally designed it that way because the world needs this conversation. But before I get into that, let me tell you who I am, because if you're going to trust me with your time, you deserve to know. I'm a former C-suite executive who spent over 20 years climbing the corporate ladder at companies like Walmart, IKEA, and Starbucks. I've been named one of the Globe and the Mail's top 50 executives, one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. I've led hundreds of thousand employees and overseen billions of dollars of operations and operated businesses in over 31 countries. I've sat on boards, spoken on stages to thousands, met with heads of state, and featured in publications like the New York Times, Forbes, Fortune, and dozens of other outlets. But you could have gathered all of that from my LinkedIn profile. This is what you won't see on my LinkedIn profile and what those accolades don't tell you. I've also nearly lost myself in the process. I'm a recovering workaholic, someone who's had an unhealthy relationship with work, success, and achievement my entire life. I worked through multiple pregnancies right up into the moment of birth. I've chosen work over sleep, over well-being, over my personal life. I've martyred myself to the work hard monster that I've lived in my mind for years. And I, like millions around the world, unconsciously developed this unhealthy relationship with work, success, and achievement. My trauma response was not to fight or flight. It was to work or flight. Work was my escape, my numbing mechanism, and like so many, I've tried everything to get off the burnout loop to try and renegotiate my unhealthy relationship with work and achievement. But everything I was told to try didn't work. You know, the set boundaries, working in exercising, drinking lemon water, and taking cold plunges. Believe me, I've tried it all. Still, I had this unhealthy relationship that I struggled to manage. And here's the thing I know, I'm not alone. I'm convinced that the world has an unhealthy relationship with work, success, and achievement. We're living in a burnout culture where 62% of people globally are disengaged at work, where 41% experience high stress on a daily basis, and 20% report feeling lonely at work. We've built this unhealthy relationship with success on a set of lies that we have all been told to believe in. That hard work alone guarantees results, that we must sacrifice our humanity for achievement, that productivity equals worth. But here's the thing, we are not our work, and we should not live to work. Work should not have the deciding vote on who you are, what your worth is, or whether or not you feel fulfillment. My process of unraveling my identity from what I did professionally required me to question the very belief systems I had leveraged to build my career. I had to unlearn a lot of things and renegotiate my identity and to redefine success across a broader set of domains. And I'm here to help others do the same thing. This podcast is a movement. We're going to challenge everything you think you know about work, ambition, and achievement. We're going to explore how to reclaim our lives from work while still pursuing our dreams and building sustainable societies. And this is why the podcast is different, why this conversation is different, because I'm not your average executive. I'm not a tech bro. I'm not your average anything. I've beaten all the odds. I'm a first-generation child of immigrants who made it through the highest levels of the corporate world by kicking through doors and climbing through windows. I'm a visible Muslim minority female. I'm a mother of 4. I'm a mental health advocate. And I'm a believer that everyone has a right to pursue a life of dignity where success has a net positive effect on ourselves, our families, and our communities. This is what I call human sustainability. So if you're looking for a different perspective, you've come to the right place. This conversation will be bilingual, English and Arabic subtitles, because Arabic is my mother tongue and I'm on a journey of reclaiming it. So we can hear from voices that often don't get heard, perspectives that will challenge the often Western-dominated narrative about leadership and success. Over the next few episodes, I'll be interviewing some incredible guests from around the world. You'll see me in Atlanta, in Riyadh, in London, and everywhere else life takes me. I'll speak to leaders who've redefined success on their own terms, entrepreneurs building businesses with purpose, mental health professionals who understand the cost of our achievement obsession, and everyday people who found ways to thrive without sacrificing their souls. But this isn't just about interviews. This is about us, you and me, figuring out together, and I'll share my own journey, my failures, my breakthroughs. We'll explore the science behind burnout, the myths we need to debunk, and practical frameworks for reimagining what success looks like in every domain of our lives, not just professionally, but spiritually, relationally, physically, mentally, and environmentally. If you're tired of feeling like you have to choose between ambition and well-being, between success and your values, between achievement and your humanity, this podcast is for you. If you're a high achiever who's wondering, is this all there is? This is for you. If you're someone who wants to build something meaningful without burning out in the process, this is for you. If you're ready to challenge the narrative that says we must sacrifice everything for success, this is for you. In the episodes ahead, we'll debunk the myths of success that are keeping us trapped. We'll explore what it means to get off the burnout loop. We'll learn from leaders who've built thriving businesses while prioritizing human sustainability. We'll dive into the invisible load that many of us carry and how to address it. We'll talk about play, about rest, about faith, about parenting, about relationships, about the courage to redefine what winning looks like. This is going to be like nothing you've heard before because we're not just talking about work or life in the context of how it's been defined for us. There will be no bifurcating ourselves into buckets, no gatekeeping. We're going to honor the human spirit and the human experience in its totality. I'm committed to showing up authentically wherever I am in the world, and I'm committed to this being a conversation, not a monologue. I want to hear from you. I want to know what's working, what's not, what questions you're wrestling with. And at the end of every episode, I will challenge you to do something because learning happens through action. So listening is great. Learning something from what you're hearing is even better. But putting that learning into action, incorporating it into your own life, that's where change happens. So you will hear me challenge you to do something at the end of every episode. And I'm never going to ask people to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So you will also see me engage in the exercises, and I will share my learning and outcomes in my subscriber community on Substack. So here is what I need from you. Help me amplify the voices, the narratives, and the stories that often go untold. You can do that by subscribing to the podcast, share it with your family and friends. Because here's what I know after 20 years in corporate leadership. Through talking to hundreds of high-performing leaders, from endless hours of research, what I know is overworking isn't working. You can be ambitious and build a life without burnout and overwhelm. You can achieve great things and maintain your well-being. You can build something meaningful without losing yourself in the process. But it requires us to challenge everything we've been taught about what it means to be successful. So I hope you will join me. Until next time, take care of yourselves and those around you. Thanks for tuning in to Reimagine Success. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend or colleague. And if you loved this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen. It helps us grow this movement. For even more tips, tools, and behind-the-scenes conversations, join our online community on Substack at Reimagine Success. See you next time.